Okay, well, our football team continues to work extremely hard. Um, I can compliment this group of young men in terms of their energy, their passion, the effort, the toughness is there. Um, I think where we're at as a football team is we have to improve relative to having the discipline to execute, having the poise to do our job in a critical time throughout the game. And I think that we've got to trust the techniques that we coach and use those when it counts. But certainly, I think our football team took a step forward in terms of how to prepare and how to practice. Are we there yet? Completely no. But we have made progress, I think, in terms of how to go about our business this week. And we have to. It's a mentality. We got to keep coaching it, keep reinforcing the players that are doing it the right way, keep correcting things that we see are out of place, and keep developing that mindset. I think that's critical in terms of where we're at. But certainly a big challenge in front of us. But I'm pleased with the improvement that we've made this week.
How do you avoid the same situation that happened last week, something that happened over the last 48 hours before the game?
Well, hopefully you get a little bit more leadership in terms of the player level. It's about planning ahead. It's about having a business-like approach and making sure that you are prepared. We travel this week. Certainly it'll be a quick turnaround with 11 o'clock kick. So it'll be even more important that our players are on top of their game as we head into the final 48 hours. There's nothing more important. And certainly the physical work starts to go down, but it's more about the mental intensity that's required. And certainly I think you can continue to prepare all the way up until the ball's kicked off.
You mentioned just intensifying the pass rush, but other than that, what are just the keys of your secondary versus their passing game?
Well, it comes down to having a plan that gives our players a chance and puts them in position, and then they have to trust their technique. They got to get aligned correctly. We got to communicate, make the right call, and we got to compete. And I think that certainly this is a big challenge in terms of how productive they've been throwing the football with the quarterback and set of skill players that they have. But it's really not about that. It's more about us doing what we need to do and controlling what we can control. So that's been the approach, and certainly that'll be the approach for the rest of the time I'm here.
You have an update on Zion?
Zion won't be available for the game. He is rehabbing, and it's something that we feel that he has a chance to return, and we'll see where he's at every week going forward. But certainly he's made progress. He's got better mobility, but it's something that he won't be available this week. We can give you more feedback on that next Monday. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Can you use the Mississippi State experience to how to deal with this experience?
Yeah,
Can you enjoy it? Can the kids get a chance to enjoy it?
Well, I think they will. I think that we had an opportunity to stay in Tuscaloosa the last time, so we'll be, they had a chance to drive around town and be familiar with the area, so it won't be completely foreign to them when they show up. But, it's going to be much like the Mississippi State experience. It's an SEC West Power 5 team, really big, fast, athletic team that certainly is playing at a high level.
How do you feel your team can respond to it versus you faced in this last game? You came back in the second half, so if something happened where they scored early, you feel like you guys can bounce back to an early punch from Alabama?
Well, they already done it, so I believe they will. I believe they'll continue to do that. This group of young men has invested a lot, not only in themselves as individuals, but the team collectively. And certainly that was one of the things I was pleased with in the game Saturday, was how they responded at halftime, came back and played with tremendous passion and energy. The toughness and the effort was good in the second half. Our issues are things that we can control: technique, preparation, execution, poise, discipline, all these things, making better choices and decisions. And that's what we're harping on at this point.
You mentioned some of the things there, but like when you're watching a practice, how do you discern if it's a good one or not? Is it the pace? Is it focus? Is it not having to repeat plays?
It's a combination of all those things. I think really, I think one of the keys to practice, your whole life you've heard practice makes perfect, right? Well, in all reality, they've been telling you a lie your whole life. And practice makes permanent, whether that's good practice or bad practice. And I think we've got to take a game-like mentality to practice. We have to develop our skills develop our techniques and develop as players, because we are going out there with intentions and being really deliberate about what we do. And certainly that's what the good players I've been around, that's the approach they take to practice. So I think that type of focus, the energy, the pace, like you're talking about, is good. And certainly we're able to know. I mean, we script every play. We know exactly what's coming and whether or not we execute the concept or not. And certainly we do quite a bit of good on good, so, and that's scripted as well. So we've got a pretty good idea after each play. And, hey, a lot of reloads are not good. I think you're exactly right. So, but for the most part, you walk off the field knowing whether or not it was good or bad. Sometimes it's not as bad as you think or as good as you think once you get to the tape. But we had good energy today. I think that we didn't quite execute at the level I'd like, but I think we made progress this week in general about how to go about our business.
So if you guys do play an absolutely perfect game, is that even enough against these guys?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, if it's perfect, it would be enough, you know. So obviously, we believe around here it's in our control, you know, and that's the approach and the attitude that we got to take. You know, the men in that room are going to dictate what happens, and that's the approach we got to have. Ultimately, if we don't get it done, we're going to be able to look back and say, hey, we could have done some things better. And that's a mindset and mentality that takes time to develop.
I
Along those lines.
mentioned Zion, McCaskill and Ochoa. Have they?
McCaskill is doing some modified practice. He's doing mostly individual at this point. He is making progress. It is a bone bruises injury that takes time, and it's really a pain tolerance deal. But he's looking better. I don't think he'll be ready to play this week, but certainly a lot better than he was last week. We're pleased with that. Ochoa will be out for the season. Found that out this week. He'll be having surgery here shortly, but it's similar surgery that some other players on our team have had, and we expect him to recover and be back next year. It's actually back, ended up being a back, although there is a hip issue, but it's not surgical.
Anybody else remove fresh injury-wise?
No, we're pretty healthy. We got the usual nicks and bruises like most football teams this time of year, but outside of those individuals, everybody will be available for the game.
Do you even factor in when you're playing these guys needing to or wanting to come out healthy?
No, absolutely not. I mean, you can't take that approach at all. I think you got to go compete, man. And certainly, we got some players in our team that are excited about playing these guys and want to prove themselves and put themselves, hey, get an opportunity to compete against the best. Let's go do it. And I think that's the approach you got to take. No different than when we played Mississippi State.
Do you convey to them this is the kind of program that we want to model ourselves after?
Not necessarily, but I think that these guys are college football players. They're football fans, and certainly they know the history and the tradition, and certainly the recent success that Alabama has had. And a lot of what we do at the core is what they do there. Wouldn't be much difference in the practice that they did today compared to the one we did today. So it's not necessarily about that as much as executing the plan. That's the key. So, and I think as a team and as an organization, we're getting better at that each week, and we'll continue to get better at it.
Remember when Simeon got drafted, the Browns GM was talking about he put up some film against the Power Fives.
Yeah.
Do you send that message?
No question. Yeah, I mean, I think our players know that. I think that's something that certainly the players that have the desire to go play in the National Football League, this is an opportunity to prove yourself, because certainly they've got some of the best players in the country. And we got some players that can play in the SEC West. There's no doubt about that. And we had a group of players that held their own in the last time we played an SEC West team. So this will be a great challenge. I know our players look forward to it.